Tax time is coming. Boo, boo, boo. And with black folks who protest by not paying their taxes, well, our very own Jatali B is here with a special Black Wall Street report to give tips on that. She's an investment banker and the CEO of Kids Who Bank, an organization that provides financial literacy and training to children in 137 schools nationwide. Please give your attention to the brilliant Jatali B. What's going on, lady? Show me the money.
Cheers, Rakia. We're talking about taxes today.
Oh, boo. I said, show me the money, not show me how to take away my.
There are some positives and some negatives, so we can talk about both of them, but it's an important thing for right now.
Okay, what about that? What?
And showing you the money, one more thing to keep in mind, guys, you can't avoid taxes. That's the quickest way to get in trouble. Don't end up like Wesley Snipes. That's all I'm saying. You know,
True. I know.
tackle those
I
taxes.
hate them.
Alrighty. So, five positives, four negatives,
Five positives,
things to
four negatives.
consider,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
If you invest in 529 saving plans, as of 2018, you can spend up to 10,000 a year per student on primary and secondary education expenses. Before, 529 plans were only for college students
Mm.
to put towards the college expenses, but now they have gotten more lenient. I feel like this is a godsend because I mean, my son is 4 years old, and when I'm looking at the schools that I like for him, literally they're telling me prices like 2,000 a month sometimes.
Wow.
So 2,500, and it seems like the average person is spending at least $1,500 on their child's primary school monthly
Mm.
minimum. So with that said, that is a big plus.
Obviously, that's what you're saying. People should get into now for when they file their taxes next year.
Well, yeah, so 2018, this is just kind of people who have 529 plans. In case you didn't know that, or if you had a 529 plan, just is for you for next year. But a lot of these will be for right now if you're filing, and you started to do this and implement this, know that this is something that's happening right now.
And this is just for the U.S. people, obviously. For
This
those
is for the US
overseas.
people. This is Trump's new tax laws.
Oh God.
All right, so there are more tax deductions. The standard deduction is no longer $6,350 for individuals. Now it's $12,000, and for married couples filing jointly is $24,000. So that in itself for the standard deductions has increased. So I guess that is kind of good. I'll see the silver lining in that. The next positive is anyone can deduct up to 7.5% or more of income improved from medical expenses. Before that was something predominantly only seniors could do.
Wait, so you can deduct medical expenses?
Yep, up to 7.5%.
Interesting.
So I think that that is kind of an amazing thing because I feel like I know a lot of people who just couldn't, but it has to be approved. So just work with a person and get that approved, get your medical expenses approved and get that 7.5% approved. And even if you're not a senior now, that is an actual reality that you can do.
Mm.
If you have a C Corp, the tax rate is now at 21%. It used to be 35%. So anyone who has that kind of incorporation, there you go, down to 21% from 35%. And for real estate investors, the ones who like to buy and hold deals, you're now listed at a 20% deduction, which leads to cool things like being able to deduct the passive income earned from your rental properties.
Mm.
Of course, I feel like there was an agenda behind that one, but we're not going to discuss that. Now we're going to go to the negatives. I started with the great things. I'm going to go to the bad things.
Thanks. Or positive.
I had
Low.
to
No,
go
I'm sorry.
left.
Go
I
ahead.
had
Go
to go
ahead. Go
low.
ahead.
So, negatives. Your deductions are at 10,000, which means especially if you are a homeowner and live in a place with high taxes, property taxes, you'll be hit harder. Some people property taxes are $30,000. So if your property taxes are $30,000, this is really going to be really bad for you.
Yeah.
Second, dependent exemptions are gone.
Mm.
So if you know you've been taking care of your cousin, your sister, your brother, your whole family, and they're all above 17 years old and they're adults, that dependent exemptions are gone. Granted, they doubled the child under 17 credits to $2,000, but let's be honest, in the end of the day, if you have an adult, a lot of us have adults that are dependent. The only thing that now they supply is a credit for $500, which is nowhere near the same. So that sucks. And moving expenses are no longer deductible, which is major because a lot of people are moving cross
Moving
country.
expenses? I didn't know that they were. Shit. See, this is
Yeah,
why I have an accountant do my taxes because no, I don't know. A, I don't have the patience. Um,
that is true
or the time. Don't
and
have patience.
understandable.
It's patient. Like no, and an accountant knows the tax law, so I just. But not everyone can do that.
Yeah, so, but that's one thing, but now it's gone. The one positive thing about, regardless, though, is that let's say if you're moving and your employer is moving you, before the employer would give you the money and then you'd be taxed on it as if it was income. Now that is gone. You'll no longer be taxed on the reimbursement as if it was income. So that's, I guess, a silver lining. So
Interesting.
even though we're in the negatives, I'm still trying to find a silver lining. And last but not least, filing separate versus being married now has changed even more. So it's actually more behooves people to file separately because you might not be getting as much of a deduction if you filed married.
Why?
So because it literally the percentages have changed, the actual numbers have changed as to how much you're deducting. So people who are filing separately, the deductions are lower than if you're filing married. So with that said, that might deter you from wanting to file married and jointly. So
Interesting.
you should definitely look into all your options before you do that. So those are our tips today, the five
Or
books.
just don't get married. It's like no, I didn't say that. I'm just kidding. I might get married again. I might.
I know speaking English. I don't know what you're talking
Because
about.
Jatali's married. Jatali's married. Don't let me bring it to the dark side, girl.
No, I'm good, man. I'm just I don't speak English. This is all about your moment right here. So
Marriage has its positives. I'm
it
glad
has its
I've been there,
positives and
done that.
negatives.
I've
Yeah,
been
you
there,
know,
done that. It's got its not pros and cons. It's got its pros and cons.
thing in life has pros and cons, but it's really what you do with it, right?
To learn from it. I might do it again. If I do it again, I'll let y'all know after it's done. Anyway,
Well, guys, so that was
I'm sorry to go left because I keep saying because I'm tired. All the reports today just went left. I'm sorry. I will not record after hours.
oh my gosh.
This is the Black Wall Street report. Listen, this is real black news. We get so intense here. We gotta like have some fun sometimes,
That
man.
is true.
Come
That is true.
on, come on, man.
Oh, so before I let you go, I forgot to tell you the most positive thing that happened last weekend. So I did Colin Kaepernick's Know Your Rights camp.
Oh, in Baltimore, I had some friends that were there. I heard it was dope.
Let me tell you something. I did the financial literacy for the kids, 450
Oh,
kids. It was so amazing. And we started with an
oh,
affirmation, and the affirmation is I am one idea away from being a millionaire. And
yes.
one of my board members, Giselle Best, created that affirmation, and we start all of our sessions like that.
Wow. I am only one idea away from being a millionaire.
Yes. And we
Mm.
broke down to them what is an affirmation? What does that mean? What is a financial affirmation? And when I tell you, sis, that Colin and his whole crew poured love into
Word,
all of those kids,
word.
I mean, talk about a person who was just really doing God's work or doing light work. I mean, like
Mm.
real universal positive work.
So,
I mean, he was pouring love into those youth. It was one of the best experiences I've ever done, and I love giving back. And I've been to all these UNICEF and all these other events, and I feel like sometimes I'm there like, what am I doing here?
wow.
No disrespect to them,
But right, right,
but
right.
sometimes you get lost in translation. There's so much division, and there's just like all the Africans sit together, and then
Mm.
all the Americans sit together, and then the American side, all the people from Kansas sit together, and all the New Yorkers sit together. There's just so many division. There's so much division, and
Facts.
everybody was so unified, and I hadn't seen such teamwork in my life. So I
What?
can't give too much details, but I will say that he poured him and his whole team from beginning to end poured love into those.
Wow. Oh, that is so beautiful to hear. And I'm so glad that you got to work with Colin Kaepernick. That's Jatali B with Black Wall Street Report. Sis, where can people follow you?
Yep, you got me, Kitsu Bank, everything Kitsu Bank, the same details I mentioned earlier, and I look forward to connecting with you guys.
Kids Who Bank at Gmail. Yeah.
info@kidswhobank.com. And then on my website or Instagram, follow us. We're growing.
And listen, thanks, Chantal. Now I go places. People like, I love that. And that girl that does the finance. I said, Jatali. Yes, I learned so much. Thanks, Jatali.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you for having me. Always a highlight.
No problem.